chapter, that was the states of matter, and now we are proceeding toward our new and second chapter, that is atoms, elements and compounds. Until now we have discussed that matter is composed of tiny particles. Everything around us is composed of matter in the form of solid, liquid or gas. So we can say that matter is composed of the tiny particles, and as you know, those tiny particles are known as atom. Well, for atom, atom is a word come from a Greek word known as atomos. If we have matter and we try to divide it into the simpler form, into the smaller form or into the simpler form, we can divide that matter. But when it reaches to the state where we will get the atom, the most smallest and the simplest unit of a matter, which is known as atom, and when we reach this stage, it is impossible to further split an atom. So that is why it is come from the word, a Greek word, which is known as atomos, and its meaning is unsplitable. Because we cannot divide atoms into its simpler form. Yes, we can make more complex form from the atom or by combining the different atoms. So we can say that everything present in the universe, whether they are plants, whether they are animals, our food, and etc., we can say that everything present in this universe is made up of atoms, right? But now here comes the interesting question. If everything, plants, animals, food, they all are made up of atom, then why they are different from each other? Why do they have different properties, right? Why plants are different from animals? Why plants behave differently from animals and vice versa? So the answer relies in the fact that this whole universe is made up of 118 elements. There are total 118 elements or the atoms present in our earth or in the whole universe, right? Out of 118, there are 92 atoms which are naturally occurring, and there are the rest of 26 are man-made or artificially prepared by the scientists. Now back to the question that why do they behave differently? Because there are 118 atoms and all these atoms rearrange themselves. Like we can say that they will form different combination, and those different combination will give you the different substances. Just for example, take an example.
Everything around us, whether it is gas, liquid or solid, is made up of matter. When matter is observed closely, it is seen to be made up of tiny particles called atoms. Atoms combine to form molecules that make up different kinds of substances around us. The molecules that make up matter can be classified as elements or compounds. Let us learn more about these today. Let us use some colored beads to understand how elements are different from compounds. Consider the yellow beads as oxygen atoms, the red beads as hydrogen atoms, and the blue beads as carbon atoms. Let us try to make an oxygen molecule, a water molecule, a carbon molecule, and a carbon dioxide molecule using these atoms. You know that one oxygen molecule is made up of 2 oxygen atoms. So here we go, 1 and 2 oxygen atoms put together, and we have an oxygen molecule. Now
here comes an example. We have 3 different atoms, namely carbon, oxygen and hydrogen. You are very familiar, they are the basic elements of our earth. Carbon, oxygen and hydrogen. They are 3 different but basic atoms or by basic elements present on the earth. If we combine carbon with the oxygen, what will we have? We will have carbon dioxide gas, and that gas is very important in the process known as photosynthesis. If we try to combine oxygen and hydrogen, we will have molecule, right? Hydrogen molecule. Now here I'm going to tell you the difference between an atom and an element. As you can see, in this compound, carbon dioxide, and in this compound, the water, there are combination of two different atoms. We can say that they are heteroatoms. Hetero means different. But here you can see that this is the pure hydrogen molecules. Means it is composed of two atoms, but those atoms are similar, that is hydrogen and hydrogen. Right? So we can say that this is the homo molecule. Or we can say that this molecule contains hydrogen atoms. Hydrogen elements. So now we can deduce, or we can deduct, or we can conclude the definition of element. What is an element? Element is basically a substance. I'll write the definition here. Element. So basically, element is a substance which is purely made up of same or similar atoms. We will discuss it with the definition as well. You can write it. What is an element? Element is basically a substance made up of same atoms. They can be monoatomic, like they can be made up of one atom, they can be diatomic, made up of two atoms, they can be triatomic, and so on. But the condition is they have to be made up of similar. Homo means similar, same. They have to be made up of same atoms. So atoms are the substance that is made up of same atoms. For example, now take an example for the element. Here I will say that this is the piece of foil, and I will ask you what element made this foil. What is this foil, or what is the composition of this foil? I can say that this is the foil made up of aluminium element. Right? The word is element. This whole aluminium, this whole piece of sheet is made up of the aluminium foil. As it is a solid, their atoms would be like this. Every tiny particle is basically an aluminium atom. Right? So I can say that this whole foil is made up of aluminium element. This justifies the definition of element, that it is a substance made up of same atoms. Right? So as we have discussed that there are total 118 elements present on the earth, out of which 92 are naturally present and 26 are artificially or man-made, made by the scientists. So on the basis of their different physical and chemical properties, elements are divided into the two simpler classes, that are metals and non-metals. Before discussing metals and non-metals, you have to understand that what are the physical properties and what are the chemical properties. Physical properties are basically those which we can measure, which we can sense, like we can sense the color change of the elements, we can sense their odor, their smell, we can measure their boiling point, their ductility and their malleability. So on the basis of physical and chemical properties, your book has divided these 118 elements into metals and non-metals. I want you to open your book, page number 11. And here we are going to discuss the table 2.1. In this table 2.1, we have been given with the physical data for metallic and non-metallic atoms at the room temperature and the pressure. If you observe the table very carefully, we can see that there are some elements which are metal and there are some elements which are non-metal. If you further proceed toward the table, we can see that all the metals have high density, high melting and high boiling point, while all the metals will be having low melting point, low boiling point and low density. Next, same page number 11, table 2.2, they have given you the more characteristics about the properties. The first property is the physical state at the room temperature. Metals are usually solids at the room temperature and occasionally they can be liquid depending on the temperature conditions. And non-metals, they can be solid, they can be liquid and they can be gases. Malleability. What is the malleability property? Malleability is basically the property if you hit a substance with a hammer or with some strong thing and it will convert into a thin sheet. That property is known as malleability. So yes, metals are the good malleable products while non-metals are poor. Ductility. Again, if you hit a substance with a very strong thing like a hammer and you can convert them into the wires, that is known as ductility. And yes, metals are the good, they have the good ductility. While non-metals, they are soft and they are brittle. Appearance. Usually metals are shiny and lustrous, while non-metals have dark appearance, melting, boiling and densities. Metals usually have high melting, high boiling and high density, while non-metal will be having low melting point, boiling point and density. Electrical conductivity and thermal conductivity. You are very well familiar that metals are a very good conductor of electricity and the heat, while non-metals are the poor conductor. This was our whole topic for today. I hope you get all the points. By the end of this lecture, we'll be giving you the worksheet on which you are going to do the test yourself question from page number 12, and there is an instruction. I want all of you to print out those worksheets and I want you to solve them and paste them on your copies. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.